remember the feeling of victory that comes from doing the right thing, the hard thing. Remember that feeling.
I would rather you confront, fight, and fail than for you just to settle for the comfort of remaining the same.
If you want to have a purpose in life, like a purpose to set us against the suffering, then you have to be aiming at something where success is a possibility.
It's gonna feel better when it's over. And you know this. You know this. You know that when you get done doing the hard thing, it's gonna feel better. Waking up, working out, taking care of some tedious task. You know you will feel better when it is done. You know that. You also know that if you don't do the hard thing, the thing that you don't want to do, that you don't feel like doing, you know if you don't do it, you're going to feel inferior. You know you're going to feel weak. And that feeling, that horrible feeling, you know that feeling too. You know it. You know it's true. Those are the two outcomes. One will cause you some short-term gratification. You'll get to sleep a little bit more. You won't have to put out during a workout. You don't have to do this tedious task. You'll get some short-term gratification, but the long-term regret will be strong and it will inflict pain on you. The other outcome is the positive outcome, is when you do what you're supposed to do. You do what you know you need to do to move forward. And when you do that thing, you know you're gonna feel strong, and you're gonna feel gratified, and you're gonna feel worthy of this life. That's how you're gonna feel when you do what you're supposed to do. Remember that. Remember that the pain right now will absolutely pay off in the future. And the capitulation and the conceding defeat to weakness, that will absolutely result in the pain of regret and remorse later. You know this to be true, so don't allow it. Remember the feeling of victory that comes from doing the right thing, the hard thing. Remember that feeling, and then go get it done. Good operating weather. That's an expression that we had in the teams when we had to go out on an operation and we were going to be in the field for 2 or 3 days. That's what we'd hope for. We would hope for good operating weather. Now, what does that mean? It does not mean that we wanted the weather to be sunny and 65. It does not mean that we wanted the weather to be as comfortable as possible. Not at all. In fact, we wanted the opposite. We wanted the weather to be miserable. We wanted it to be cold, raining, or snowing, or sleet. Whatever we could get, the worst weather we could get is what we wanted, because it was better for us. It was better for us. Why was it better for us? Because if we had to deal with terrible weather, then the enemy had to deal with it too. And we knew that bad weather would impact their minds. It would make them want to stay inside, make them want to stay warm, make them skip their patrol, make them bundle up in a bunch of clothes where they couldn't move properly, couldn't see properly. It would make them want to do just about anything but go out into the bad weather and hunt us down, which ultimately made it much easier for us to hunt them down. Because we knew that we could gut through that misery better than they could, and that gave us an advantage. The bad weather gave us an advantage, and that's a good attitude to remember in any competitive environment. Whatever conditions you have to deal with, your enemy or your opponent or your competition, they'll have to deal with it too. So don't complain about the situation, don't complain about the conditions, don't complain about the rules or the regulations or the market. Instead, just be thankful for good operating weather.
But I'll say it again, I would rather you confront, fight, and fail than for you just to settle for the comfort of remaining the same. Change is tough, but change is possible for some of you. The world's not going to become easier all of a sudden. No, as you mature, you're going to have more responsibilities, more things that people expect out of you. But the truth is, you can do hard things. The truth is, as long as there's breath in your lungs, there's hope in your heart. And you can live a life where it's not just about you, but even in the middle of the struggle, you can still be a person who has a heart. I get it's hard for us, some of us, to step into our story, but I give you my word, we can do hard things. But what truly has helped change my life is I stopped trying to take, but who can I add value to? Where can I come into a room and truthfully realize what I give away is what I get to keep? It's like a boomerang, man. Here's what I mean. For so long, I started leaning on, I wanted words of affirmation. I wanted to get over some of my self-injury, my eating disorders, maybe even the thoughts of wanting to end my life. I truthfully didn't like the fact that I hid behind my anger and my rage. That wasn't really who I was. I may portray it. I may try to convince myself when I'm alone, but there were moments when I would look in the mirror and you would see that spark in your eyes that truthfully, that's not really who you are. You just don't know how to let people in because of previous hurts and pains.
But I think what you do to some degree in your workplace and wherever you are is you consult your own resentment. You will be asked to operate privately and productively under strictures that you can't really tolerate, that make you angry, bitter, resentful, out for revenge, because you're not allowed to exist in the manner that you know is appropriate. You have to repress that and shrink away. It makes people very angry and bitter. And so you have to decide when people put unreasonable strictures on your behavior, whether or not you're going to put up with it and shrink, or whether you're going to take the risk of saying something and push back against that encroaching, let's call it politically correct tyranny. Inequality is a painful reality, right? And every system that we know generates inequality. It's a real problem because there's no evidence that you reduce inequality by doing that. It doesn't help. Like, we don't know how to reduce inequality. And laying inequality at the feet of the capitalist world or at the feet of Western society is ignorant almost beyond comprehension. Inequality is a way worse problem than that. And you might say, well, we don't want there to be success because there has to be failure. And that's a problem, that's the inequality problem. But is that really the case? Is you want to eradicate success as part of the price you pay for eradicating failure? No one lives that way. People might say that's what they want, but no one lives that way, because if you eradicate success, then you have no impetus for action. What are you doing? Are you acting so that you'll fail? Is that your motivation? Well, if you want to be motivated, which means if you want to have a purpose in life, like a purpose to set us against the suffering, then you have to be aiming at something where success is a possibility. And that opens up the landscape of success and failure. And there's pain associated with that. That doesn't mean we eradicate the hierarchy of value itself and leave no one with anything to do.